last week I left you off with an icebreaker question. Do you remember that icebreaker question? I'll restate it.
I remember it, but not verbatim. Yes.
So when restoring old games, or you added the caveat of systems, what is your stance on originality? In other words, what is okay to replace and still be considered original, and what is not okay to replace? Some people argue that only the ROM, the core guts of the device, matters. Others say every last screw and sticker needs to remain authentic and original to that device's history. How about you? What do you believe as a fellow vintage game restorer?
Yeah, so what I look for is I want to make sure that the cartridge is, like, the plastic itself is in decent shape. I don't want there to be chips and cracks in the plastic.
Okay.
Because I think, like, particularly with like aftermarket cartridges, they don't quite look or fit as well as the originals. So that's really my only caveat. On the Nintendo 64 games, I look for, and if there's anybody out there that likes to collect Nintendo 64 games, they're authentic if on the very back sticker there's like that gray sticker with like white writing on there or whatever that Nintendo has. There's an imprint of a number on there, like pushed into the actual sticker. I like to make sure that's real, or that the imprint's there, because if it's not there, then it's probably a fake cartridge, or a fake game, like just a ROM that somebody's stuck on something. But back to your point. It's really just the plastic, because I've had to replace screws. I am even okay replacing a sticker on the front. If the sticker's torn off enough, you can find the actual like image of the original sticker online, and you can get that printed off like on a high gloss, sticker or whatever, and you can replace that. But I just think the only thing that you can't really replace and have it be worth anything is the actual cartridge, like the plastic itself. You can clean it up. I've had magic marker on them and everything, and just take some, nail polish remover or some
Jeff
90. And just take it off there. So game systems I don't really have that caveat with, because I usually end up reshelling them anyway, and most of the shells out there that you can buy for like these older consoles are pretty good. So like those I don't really worry so much about. I really look at like the internals on all those, but what about you?
All right. I'm about the same. I never considered replacing the plastic. I guess in my mind, if the plastic is broken, it's broken. Like, that's it. I never knew that there were third-party people out there making it, but that makes sense. I mean, sure. I would, if I had an NES game that the cartridge was cracked and broken and it was bugging me, I would probably try and get my hands on one of those cheap, old, like, I don't know, baseball games or something that there's like a billion of that go for like $1 or $2, and then replace. I'd have to get the one that has the same screw layout, but replace it and resticker it with new stickers, which I find online, like printed off on high quality gloss and cut already ready to go, and you just peel them off and stick them on there, and they look great. I've done it on a couple games. Had a couple games that didn't even have stickers on them, just like somebody magic markered on there, like what the game title was. I verified it and then bought a sticker, cleaned it up, and slapped a new sticker on there. Man, it looks like new. I love it. I got a couple games that like the stickers are torn on them. I'd say if it's torn more than 95, or if it's torn more than like 5%, I'm going to try and replace it. I want clean looking stickers on mine. I have not gone through and done this, but my plan is whenever I get back into it, to go through and look at some of my worst ones and replace those first. And then I may end up going back through and replacing most of the ones that have, I'd say, decent sized tears, or if the edges are fraying or lifting too much, like curling up, like you get that separation from the lamination and the sticker itself, and just go ahead and replace them before it becomes an issue, because it's a sticker. Who cares? But I know that there's some people that they want that original sticker. They want they even want all the little like sale stickers that go on it and everything. And I'm like, I don't care about all that.
Yeah.
Doesn't bother me any. I mean, unless it's like still in its sealed box and maybe it's got like an EB game sticker on there, or like a Toys R Us, like old school, like the kind that you like have the little gun and it's got the numbers on it and you stick it on there. One of those. Yeah, that's kind of cool. That's fine to stay on there. But on the actual cartridge, whenever it's got like 15 layers of GameStop stickers on there.
Yeah. I don't want that. Yeah.
I'm going to take all that off. Those GameStop ones, I hate those. They always put them right on the label. Drives me nuts.
Yeah. I can't, that is, I will admit, when I'm looking for games, like, because I typically look for them online, because around where I live at, there's not really a place to really go get them unless you go to a garage sale or something. Yeah. I do look at the stickers. They don't, it's not always a make or break for me, but if I can find one that has a sticker that's in great shape, that's maybe $2 more, I'll spend an extra $2, you know.
Yeah.
But if I see one that's like, I don't know, like Tactics Ogre 64 or something, you know, really expensive game, and somebody's got one where the label's peeled off and I can get that for like $30 cheaper.
Oh, absolutely.
You bet your butt I'm buying that.
I can get the sticker for $1 or $2 online.
That's right. And that's the thing. Like, I'm not buying these to resell them. Yeah. I mean, usually I'm buying them for myself. Now, like, you know, Game Boys and things like that, like I bought those to resell. And I'm a little more picky when I'm doing that, because I have to, you know, look into like how much money am I going to be putting into this thing. But if it's just for me, I mean, if it's something I can fix, and, you know, like I said, the cartridge itself, I need to have a good, good plastic. Exactly.
Gotta have a good base.
And you got to make sure the cart, the ROM inside there is the correct game, because there's a lot of people out there that will try to rip you off. So you got to make sure that the game you've got in there is the correct one. But anyway,
there's some unlawful folks out there for sure.
Yeah.
Looking to take advantage of us nostalgic folk.
Yes.
I would agree. How about one last one? How about the like the DS games, or then the DS games that come in the little like clamshell, you know, like little mini like a CD case, but it's like half the size.
Yeah.
I always try and find those. Like I will, if I see a DS game that I like, that I want, but it doesn't have that, I'm probably not going to get it. Like, I'm going to hold out for whenever I can get that little clamshell. Like, that's that's pretty important. I want that.
I agree.
Or Sega if it comes too.
Well, yeah. So like NES games, Super NES, Nintendo 64, Game Boy,
the ones that came with like the paper.
Yep.
I don't expect that. Yeah.
If you've got something that's disc based, like, it's nice to have that. But if you've got something that's disc based, like I have some, like I bought some Xbox 360 games, you know, whatever. I don't want them in a sleeve. Like, I want them in the case, and I want the case to be in fair shape. Like,
and the green can have a run, not like some black one.
I want the original case, or even if it's a like a repurposed case.
But the right one.
That's fine. Yeah, exactly. So
I think PlayStation the game. Yeah. All right.
Don't put my copy of Fallout New Vegas in a jewel case, you know, that you had, Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill in or something. Like, I want it, I want it in the actual, case that it came in. So yeah, I would agree with
something console appropriate, please.
Yes,
that's all we're asking. Yeah. All right, well, I'm gonna roll our intro and we'll get right into this one.
All right.
Your local video store card.
A comic book in your back pocket.
Games with no tutorials.
Music you had to discover.
And drinking water straight from the hose.
These are the things us millennials remember fondly. We are the Jennings brothers.
Join us after the streetlights come on
as we race our bikes from the top of the hill
right down memory lane.
Exchange those quarters because this podcast takes tokens.
Take my love, take my land, take me where I cannot stand. I don't care, I'm still free, you can't take the sky from me. Take me out to the black, tell them I ain't coming back, burn the land and boil the sea, you can't take the sky from me. There's no place I can be since I found Serenity, but you can't take the sky from me. That's right, this week we are talking about Firefly. Just Firefly, the TV show. We're here for it, and Firefly. We're excited. Running from September 20th to December 20th of 2002. Firefly is a beloved, I mean, I don't want to say cult classic, but it is one of the most popular, quickest canceled shows, I think, of all time. There isn't a single season show out there that has as much popularity as Firefly. And, I love the show. I discovered this show personally. I think it was around 2005. It was after the movie came out. I discovered the show after the movie came out. Like, I think the movie was in theaters. It was about to come on DVD, and I heard, I would go and spend time at the, what we had at the time was a movie trading company. We had those everywhere. And they dealt in like used media of all sorts, games, movies, records, CDs, all that stuff. So I go there and kind of hang out and, peruse the titles after work on my last day of the shift and get a couple things to take home and watch for the weekend. And one week I was up there and I heard some folks talking about Firefly and I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. I'll check it out. And so I picked up the box set of the TV show that had been out. And I want to say it was like $15-20 for like a whole series on DVD. And it was a great deal. So I went ahead and picked it up and went home and watched it and was just like, I fell in love like immediately. I loved it from the beginning. And the DVD set had it. And I think this helps because the DVD set had the correct order of episodes running. Whereas, I guess whenever it ran originally, it was not. But I don't know.
What? You wonder why they did that,
anyways.
Right? Why did Fox do that?
Well, apparently it was because they didn't believe that the first Firefly episode, the original, the one that Whedon had shot to be the first episode, was going to do as well. They thought it just didn't make sense. It was too long and it didn't make sense as the first episode. It wasn't, they thought that the train job episode, because that's what they ended up doing, was the first episode, had more of a hook to it and it was more exciting and it would get people invested in the show. But I think if you watch the train job as your first episode, you'd be like, who are these people? Why do I care about them? And then later on, because they didn't run the original Serenity, which is the first episode, until the end. That was the last episode they aired on television was the pilot. Because they didn't, I think they didn't run the last 3 episodes at all. They had 3 episodes just never aired. And they ended up dumping them in the summer at some random time. eventually. But yeah, like the first. And so, like, here's the rundown of the order that they went in. If it helps with anybody, the original air order was the Train Job, Bushwhacked, Our Mrs. Reynolds, Janestown, Out of Gas, Shindig, Safe, Ariel, War Stories, then Objects in Space, which was the last episode. Then they dumped, and then Serenity, which became the last episode to air. So they ran the actual last episode, and then the first episode as the last episode.
What a bunch of idiots. This is like, let me tell you, there's like, aside from X-Files and maybe, well, King of the Hill, I get, okay, there's some Fox TV show series that I like, but like around this time, like the mid to late 2000s,
early millennial.
Yeah. Fox was putting out such crap. And like they had the worst TV shows, other than, I think X-Files is still running, but it was like at the end of it.
Yeah.
And of course they put this out, which could have been great. Yeah. And they're like, no, we need to be airing, like, I don't know when Glee came out or whatever. I know Glee was super popular, but like just stuff like Raising Helen, and all this stuff. Like, why are you putting out trash? Like, put out good stuff, and you will have people watch it and air it in order. Like, that's
let the artists have a little space. Yeah, they didn't even run Heart of Gold, Trash, or The Message, which I think Trash and The Message are two of some of the better ones. Like Trash is that one where Saffron comes back and she takes him on that little to go steal the laser gun and ends up double crossing him, but they saw it coming and they counter double cross her, or however you want to phrase that.
Yeah.
And it was a great little like caper episode, if you will, and had some good bits to it. And then The Message, that was a really good one with the army buddy that like fakes his death. Stows away, and then
a lot of heart with it and everything. Yeah, that was really good. Yeah,
I enjoyed that one.
Leaving
those out, man, shot themselves in the foot.
They did, and talking about the episode that Christina Hendricks came back in, that would have been really fun to just see her recurring throughout the series.
Oh yeah, she would have came back for sure.
It was so much fun seeing like that first episode that she was in, and like, everyone's like laughing because they're like, Captain got married and everything. Like, what, And then like what a twist. Like she played that really well. And then it completely turns it on its head, and she's trying to swindle them and everything. And I really enjoyed seeing her again, and then that second episode that she was in, and then I'm like, gosh, I wish we could have gotten more of that. And I think it's something like this series, had it have come out 10 years later, if Fox would have dropped it, like Netflix or Hulu or somebody would have picked it up, and it would have continued to run, and it's just it's just a damn shame that it ended like it did, because like this was my first time watching it. And
oh, really?
Yeah, it was my very first time watching it. I mean, I was familiar with it, but I hadn't really sat down and watched it. And by the time, like, I finished the last episode yesterday, last night, and it was the one where like the bounty hunter comes on board the ship and he's trying to get River, and everybody finally is like coming together, and there's a camaraderie there between everybody. And then the show just ends. And I was just like heartbroken that like, I want to see these characters together more, and I can't get any of it now, and it's just, it's such a shame. It's such a shame, because this is a really good show. It's well written. It's well acted.
Yeah. It's fun.
I'm just giving it accolades over and over again.
No, yeah.
it's so good.
You're right. You sound like every other browncoat out there, just like happy and loving it and enjoying it. But like, I mean, really, if you want more, seriously, the comic series that they ran afterwards really kind of pick it up and keep going with it. As a matter of fact, there's even, I've got a couple back here, there's novels. Like they did like a whole, like Whedon and his brother did a whole series of novels. Like there's like 6 or 8 of them that tell stories from between this and like the movie. And there's more of it out there. It's there. Like the story continues, like canonically it continues with, like I said, the comic books are written by him and his brother. And then there's like the books and stuff like that. And so like there is more to it. But yeah, like, have you seen the movie?
No. Well, I've watched Serenity. Okay. But when I watched it, I had no familiarity with Firefly. And I watched it as like, because I was back in the, I don't know, late 2000s, I was really into science fiction movies. And I was like, I'm going to watch Serenity. And I remember enjoying it, but I didn't have like any previous knowledge of anything. So like none of it was really like stuck with me, because it was just like, I think, these characters, I'm just meeting them for, 2 hours and then they're gone. And I don't remember anything about it now. Well, except for one scene. There's one scene that I remember about a particular character. But I'm very anxious to watch Serenity now. Spoiler alert, I was going to say we're doing Serenity next week. So yeah. But I'm really anxious to because we didn't think we could do Firefly and wait to do Serenity. We kind of felt like they needed to be one together or back to backs. Yeah, together. Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm really anxious to watch it because I'm like I said, when I finished that last episode last night, I was like, well, I get one more outing with these people.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there's comics and stuff like that, but like with the actors and everything, I get one more outing with them. So I'm going to just watch it and enjoy it and
bawl like a baby at the end.
Yeah, I know. Oh, gosh. It's so like these characters, they're written so well. You really grow so attached to them. And a couple of them, like Jane, it takes several episodes for me.
Yeah, he's not as deep as the other ones are. Like for sure, I feel like Jane's story. There was more to his story, but it's not anything that we discover here. I feel like it would have been something that we covered in seasons probably like 3 and 4, maybe if the show had continued. Like in the comics that I've read so far, there's a little bit in there about his backstory and how he was on a planet that I forget, it was one of the moon. He lived on one of the moons with his family back in the day whenever the Alliance was terraforming all these planets, and the planet that the moon was part of, the terraforming went wrong and you ended up with like the Reavers, and they started like kind of taking over that area. And so the Alliance came in and like evacuated as many people as they could. And Jane and his family were one of the ones who were able to get out like in the nick of time. So he was almost captured by Reavers and everything. So he's got like a real like horror story with Reavers. Like he does not like them at all and wants to avoid them at all costs because of this type of thing. And I think we would have got more out of him, but it would have been later. Like him and Wash, I feel like didn't really get too much into like who they were or their motivations or anything like that. But man, Alan Tudyk just kills it as Wash and just brings that like that comedy to it. Every line that he delivers, like the whole thing, like whenever they're meeting Saffron and everything, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we always knew you two would get married. Who is she again?" And just like that, like dun, 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 like he's so on the whole time.
I love when he's like, she's so Saffron's making dinner for Mal, and she's like saying something to
saying you don't wash your husband's feet or something like that.
Yes, yeah. And he's like, oh, she's great, or something. And then Gina, what's his wife's name? Her name's Gina, the actress.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh,
Zoe. And she like gives him this look. He's like, quaint. She's quaint. He keeps saying that she's quaint. And I love the line where she's
juggling geese.
Yeah. She comes up to it's after she has like knocked Mal out, and she comes up to the cockpit and she's like coming on to him, and he's like, God, I really wish I wasn't married right now, but I am. I can't do this. And I really respected that of him. Like, he's honest, but he's also, faithful to his wife. And he's like, if I wasn't married, but I can't.
I love my wife. Yeah. I mean, they have probably one of the best relationships too. I love it. And I love watching them together, and just like, you can see like the Zoe character, she's got like the stoicism to her from like her time in the war. Like whenever she's with Mal, she's very like, she's stonewalled, shows very little emotion. And it's just all about getting the job. Like the whole, like that last, or not the last episode, the message with the other soldier. Yeah. She ends up shooting him, like just doesn't even think about it, doesn't question it. It's just like takes him out because he was a threat. He was a problem to be dealt with in that way.
Kill Wash.
Yeah, he was going to kill Wash, and she's like, took him right out. Yep. Doesn't matter what kind of history we have. You're going after my man. Boom. That's it. We're done. We're over.
Yep.
And but then you see her with Wash, and that softer side comes out of her. That loving side comes out of her. That almost like yin and yang with her. Like she's got like this dichotomy, and like she compartmentalizes those emotions really well, and knows who she needs to be for who. And it's it's great. I like seeing the two of them together. They make such a great, like, happy, loving couple, and I always enjoy their story, and I want more from it, but we'll figure out. We'll talk about that next week.
Yeah. I guess, kind of just in the place of running down characters, like Sheppard was somebody too that like I wanted more of, like, because he has like, there's something. He's not all that he seems. Yeah. You've got more on Sheppard.
I got more on Sheppard.
He's not all he seems, and he's played very well. And it's just they'll encounter different people, and they're like, "Who wasn't in that one episode?" He's like, "He's not a Sheppard. Like he knows something about him."
Oh, it was the Objects in Space. That was the the guy. Yeah, I forget his name. What was that guy's name? He had like a funny little name. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I just watched it too.
Yeah.
River? No, River was the girl. No, Jane, no. Early. That was what it was. Yeah, Early. Yeah, he was very like, the guy that played him was really good. Like, just played him in this like peculiar but menacing, quiet kind of way. And it was really, it was really well done, I thought, and I really enjoyed that performance. And then to see that, I don't think the exact same character comes back. It's like some version of that character that they use in the movie later on, to see him come back, but played by somebody else who does an equally good job with the character. But this performance was really good. It was one of my favorite supporting character performances, if you will, or cameo characters, or whatever, throwaway characters, I guess, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
him or Badger, they were both really, really fun characters to see in it. But yeah, that was he was, like I said, he was just some quiet menacingness to him that just like, he was another one that like I could see coming back in a future episode if they like continued on, because he didn't die, like he's just out there floating in space. Like I think even like he's like the last thing we see in the whole show is him just sitting there floating, and he goes,
it's like, well,
here I am. Yeah. And so I think he would have came back for sure. Like he would have gotten like picked up or something like that, and he would have been after them then. Like, and it'd be interesting to see him come back around again with the knowledge of their battle, because he's such a well-trained hunter and fighter. So to see that come back around again would be really interesting, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot of good like characters, side characters. What do you call them? Not extra characters. The not the main cast. The
like
other
supporting characters that
supporting
come in there.
Supporting cast. Yeah. Yes, thank you. Yes. Lots of those there were a lot of fun, like that, and Saffron and Badger and even like the character that played Patience. Like they were all just like, they brought like he didn't just cast like throwaway actors. He cast people that kind of like they did something with the part. And well, I say he, but like whoever did the casting in the show.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Cast some really compelling, just not just like primary characters, but even like tertiary characters that just kind of come in and out of like each scene. And it was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, did you have like a favorite episode in watching?
So I think it was let me see here. I had it wrote down. I can't remember which episode it was, but it was the one where they were doing like flashbacks of everybody, and you were getting to see like how the crew got together. And I like how Zoe did not like Wash at all. And she's like, I hate that mustache on him, you know. His mustache was glorious mustache. I loved it. And yeah, like I liked how all of a sudden I'm struggling with names here. Jewel,
main character,
their engineer. Why can't I think of her name? Kaylee, yes. I love how Kaylee came on, like, because he had a different engineer, and then he sucked.
Oh yeah.
And Kaylee, you know, they're like messing around in the engine room or whatever, and she's like, oh yeah, well I was on the floor, I saw that over there, and you know, that's an easy fix. And I loved her character because she brought such an innocence to everything.
A little whimsy.
Yeah, a little whimsy, like when
childlikeness.
Like when they were on, I think it was the train job, wasn't it? Where they were like they had to go to that party, and she like was just wanting this dress so bad, and it's just this gaudy thing, but she's like, I love this dress like so much. Yeah. But she like had, it was like my 8-year-old daughter looking at some gaudy looking dress, you know, but being like, oh, I love it. Like, it, you know, and it was little things like that. Like she just brought such a charm to the group, you know, and like when she was talking about that scene where like River shoots all those guys when they're trying to get Wash and Mal back. And she's talking about it later in like the last episode. And she's like apologizing because she's like, I couldn't kill anybody. You know, I just couldn't shoot him. And Mal's like, I'm glad that you didn't. Like, I don't want you to be that person, basically, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know, like
always the protector.
Yeah. So but that episode where it was doing all the flashbacks and everything, that was probably my favorite, that or the last one.
A good backstory. Yeah. Like a good backstory episode is always fun when it's done right and the characters are compelling enough, because then you can like, and it's earned because you want to know a little bit more about them. Because I want to say that episode wasn't like, it wasn't like, I don't know, episode 8. I think that was the Out of Gas episode where he's like trying to crawl, like there's no oxygen and he's trying to crawl to the engine room and replace the part.
Yep. Out of Gas. Yep.
So that was episode 8. Which is more than halfway through this series. You've earned it at that point. You've earned getting like a little bit of backstory from all these characters and kind of like seeing how they all came together. Of course, we don't get it from all the characters. Like we don't get, you know,
get a backstory for Sheppard.
More of Sheppard's backstory, much of Anora's or River and Simon's, really.
We see
do get a little bit of River and Simon, and I think it was like
a different episode, like where they were with
first
their parents or whatever.
Second episode. I think it was the second episode. Maybe it was the third episode.
Are you there?
Oh no, it was way later. It was the fifth episode, actually. I got it here.
Was
in
it?
my notes.
Yeah.
Because Zac Efron played young Simon Tam.
He did
in that episode. And so the like I said, that's another kind of harkening back to my point earlier. Like he cast Zac Efron as young Simon Tam, or whoever did the casting, and it worked great. Yeah. I didn't really recognize him at first, and then this last time I was watching, I was like, oh yeah, I kind of see it now. And because I'd seen somebody else posting about like him playing the young boy or whatever back then, and it was interesting,
to
say the least. Yeah, we'll pause for just a second because I think my internet is running kind of slow, and we are.
I think it is. You've been cutting in and out just a little bit here.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and jump over on my hotspot, and we'll see if that fixes it. Thank you, anybody who may be watching for, hanging with me there. Sorry about that. And I'm back. Yeah, so young River and Simon, you kind of get like a little bit of their backstory a few episodes earlier. With episode 5, we see them with their dad, and they're in their house, and they're talking about like what were they talking about? He wanted his own dedicated, like, it sounded like an internet line is what they were talking about. Like he wanted his own dedicated internet line or something like that. And I was like, that's like for as many things as like these types of shows get right, oftentimes there's things where they don't future technology the things. They just kind of give them like a different name. And it was kind of funny that like everybody had their own individual like network or something like that. I thought that was just kind of like, that's not where we're at now. Like now it's just like, it's one big internet. Like, I don't know, but I don't know what futurists they tapped for that, but I thought that was kind of funny.
It was the whole thing, like the whole premises of the show, I think, is interesting. Like the universe that they're in, because they're in this vast universe where humans have terraformed all these planets and they have not found any extraterrestrial life.
That's right. Like Whedon is famous for saying, or not famous, but like he has said before that in this universe there is no extraterrestrial life. Like it's all just humans out there. So it's interesting, that we don't have any aliens. Yeah. It's but like you said, hitting all these different planets and no aliens, which they are zipping between planets. Quick.
Super fast. Like I don't know how fast Firefly or Serenity, goes, but I'm guessing there's like some sort of, warp speed or something that they're doing.
They never explained it, but there's got to be like something that they're some future tech, something or another that they're utilizing there. It never came up though. And all the times I've heard people talk about the show, I've never heard anybody mention like the travel, like how quickly they travel everywhere and whatnot. Although one thing I did like and appreciate is, you remember in the first episode, they're in space and they are on that wrecked out ship and they're getting stuff from it. Like they're, I don't know, raiding it or whatever. There's no sound. Like even whenever the ship takes off, like it doesn't make a sound because in the vacuum of space, there is no sound. And I like that. That was a nice little touch. I mean, they have gravity on the ship, but you got to pick and choose your battles, I suppose.
Yeah, I like that about it. There's little things like that kind of give it a little bit of personality. And I don't think I think the show has enough interesting going on in it that we don't really need to know how they're getting from point to point so quick. Like you just assume that they move fast.
Right. Like we didn't get like how lightsabers and everything work in Star Wars until like 20, 30 years later with like new movies and stuff like that. So yeah, we don't need all that early on. You're right. But yeah, they do build a very compelling universe or verse, if you will, in this. And like that, they've even got like their own little language. Like there's little like slang words like shiny and verse and way and all this other stuff that they throw around, and everybody seems to know and is familiar with, and everybody uses to some extent. And then they've got like this language that's based in a mix of like English and I want to say Chinese.
Yeah, it's like Mandarin or something, I think. Mixing that with, yeah.
And
that's
like the
super interesting.
Yeah. It's really interesting. Yeah. Which I think I had read somewhere before that is like because the Earth that was became a coalition of the US and mainland China. And that was like the two superpowers that joined together and expanded out into the universe and, you know, founded this, the Confederated Planets or whatever they are. And so yeah, that's why we kind of get like this mash of English and Chinese. And I think that kind of lends into like what you'd seen in, I guess, like the general consciousness or whatever throughout like the 90s with people talking about, or like the 80s and 90s with people talking about, you're going to want to learn like Mandarin and Chinese because a lot of business is going to be coming from over there, and we're going to be doing a lot of business with them throughout the future and everything like that. And there was a big like to do or whatever about like American Chinese business relationships and how like we're going to be dealing with that a lot. And so, you know, the languages do kind of like marry, and that makes sense. Like if you think about like if you're coming from that mindset, looking off into the future to see the two, and I want to say we've seen this in like some other sci-fi movies before, where it's like a combination of like English and Chinese as like the base language or the main language that people speak in the future, whether it's space or just like any like far future, if you will. But yeah, it is a really interesting, fun little universe. And then you got this kind of like, you know, these central planets that are all like nice and proper, and they've got like funding and they've got all the things they need. And then you got all these like outer planets that seems like the further away from it you get, the less you kind of have. And that's, you know, like you got your main cities and they got everything, and you get out into like the rural areas and they tend to have a little bit less. And it's kind of mimicking, they're showing that like that's society. That's just kind of how that works. But yeah. And this whole like spaghetti sci-fi Western thing, oh man, that's so much fun. Like,
yeah, it is.
I mean, it works so well. I can't think of two other like blending of two other genres that really works as well as like sci-fi and a Western blend together. It just like it harkens back to like cowboys and spacemen and you know, like Toy Story. You know, even Toy Story hints on it. You know, Buzz Lightyear and Woody, like cowboys and spacemen. And I mean, now we even get it with like The Mandalorian reminds me of this a lot. And then,
it's
this kind of like sci-fi Western thing. Yeah,
it is.
It's kind of like a spiritual successor, almost. I would argue.
Yeah, and I think
really
like
think of any others.
What really, the episode that really brought that to me, that put that at the forefront of everything, was Heart of Gold. And that's like when the crew's coming down, they're helping out this brothel because they're getting, you know,
harassed or whatever.
And you've got like maybe the bad sheriff, you know, and you've got his posse that's coming after, you know, all these people, and they're all on horseback, and you know they're riding in, and I don't know, it was just something about like that. I know we see that sort of a civilization in other episodes, but to me that one really made it seem like it was very Western. And I think it's because like you've got like the saloon, you know, and you've got this, you know, these outlaws and the sheriff, and we're going to have a standoff here, you know, we're going to hold up in this building. And so I don't know, I really like that episode too, and I like the way that they portray that. One thing that I didn't that cracked me up about that episode, though,
the tinfoil house.
Well, the tinfoil house, I liked that. I was like, I like this. I like this. I mean, there's no camouflaging that, but I'm sure it cools the house quite a bit. But when Mal and the I guess the matron of the house are they're in like the throes of passion, right? And it looks like they have just like dumped 100 gallons of water on these two. Like when it's showing this, and I was watching that, and I'm just like, what is with just like, it's like Sweat City going on? And
they're like, inside the burrito. I'm sure it's hot in there.
Yeah. Well, that whole episode, like that,
no airflow.
That cracked me up. And then when Jane's like, he's getting with this prostitute, his girl, and it's just so funny.
Oh, girl, you're so dirty. Jane, I hope you're not talking to me.
Yeah. Your comm's still on. Oh, yeah.
That was great, yeah. That was fun. That's another one they didn't air, but it's probably because of the subject matter. I'm sure they were just like, we can't have one on here about like a brothel or whatever, and didn't get an air in it, but yeah.
I mean, that scene for network television was kind of racy, I thought. I mean, obviously they didn't air it, but I can see them like at the time in 2002, like maybe we can take this scene out, but then you're like going to miss context on, some other things. Like Inara clearly has feelings for Mal, and she just doesn't want to admit it. And that's another thing. Like we didn't like, that kind of starts to come around. Like they start building that up, and the show just ends. Just like,
yeah. That would have probably gone on for, I'm guessing a couple of seasons that would have gone on for. But there was one thing that, what's her name? Maria, whatever. I can never pronounce her last name.
Mm-hmm.
She was in an interview or one of the, commentary tracks. And she'd mentioned that the character Inara was actually dying the whole time. And that was something that they were going to start getting into in like season 2 or 3 is that, she was dying. And that's kind of like why she was part of one of the reasons why she was with them is, kind of wanting to be with like a family of some sorts and, with familiar people and just basically not die in a hospital bed, but die like out exploring and like going on adventures and being like this. I don't know. She's kind of her own woman, guided by her own compass, independent and free. And I think the character, or she was like describing it as like that character wants to die like that, to die free and, of her own accord. But yeah, apparently she was like dying of something. So I could see like in a couple seasons, if they like ran this out, let's say an 8-season arc, by like season 4 or 5, they finally get together. But then she's killed off. The next season, maybe a season after that, but she doesn't make it to like the last season. Like her character dies, and then that's like a tragic thing that he has to go through in part of his character arc. Because I really think Mal's character arc would have been one of returning to religion. Because in the Battle of Serenity, you see him like grab a crucifix that he has around his neck and kind of like, I don't know, rubs it or whatever. And then like, the other guy's worried about like dying there and everything. He's talking about God's plan and how God doesn't want them to die there. They're too pretty to die or whatever. But he's got kind of like a good, feeling or whatever. He's got like a good, I guess, rapport, if you will, with his Lord or God or whatever at that moment. But then you see him in this present time, and he is the exact opposite. Like the Reverend asks, do you mind if I say grace over this dinner? And he says, well, only if you say it out loud, because he wants absolutely nothing to do with religion. He feels like God has turned their back on him, so he has then turned his back on God. And I feel like over the show's run, we would have gotten a redemptive arc there from him as he turned back towards religion in some way or another. And I think the Shepherd probably would have had something to do with that, guiding him, and that probably would have been his purpose, as well as the other stuff that the Shepherd has to deal with.
Yeah.
But so
yeah,
I kind of feel like that with him. I don't know, did you notice any of that whenever you're watching it?
Yeah. I mean, not really at the time, but now that you mention it, like looking back on the series, yeah, I can see that. I can totally see that. He just, even over the 14 episodes that we got, like he softens up, like he's starting to soften up. In the first episode you see him, he's just tough as nails, and he's just, we're here to do a job, and we're going to do that job. And I mean, I know in the train heist episode, when they find out that it's medicine that they've been stealing, he does have a moral compass of some sort.
Yeah.
Like he's not going to just, be just a complete piece of trash. He does have a code of sorts.
Honor among thieves, right?
Yeah. But I think as the series moves on, and especially in that last episode, like they were talking about how they couldn't, we got to figure out something to do with River, because like she's dangerous and this and that. And then like one of the last scenes is he's out on top of Serenity with her out in space, and she's talking, and he's like, why don't you come
You're
on,
not quite right in the head.
Yeah, but it's almost like he is. I think he would have became like a sort of a father figure to River had the series continued to move on. Simon was always going to be there, but he was, I think there's a difference between Simon's relationship and if Mal would have had a relationship.
He's like a protective brother.
Yeah, the big brother. Yeah. I mean, literally the big brother that's protecting. And I think there would have also been, I think the arc that they would have had with Jane, I think there would have been a point where, because he was really all about them. Like when they first introduced him, like when you first meet him, he's there to kill Mal and Zoe, and
they negotiate a way out of it.
Oh yeah, and he's okay, and then he just kills the other two guys he's with.
Yeah,
which I liked that about him. He's in it for himself, but clearly, I think the arc they would have made with that, and it kind of starts to show a little bit.
He would have gained loyalties.
I think that there would have been a point where he would have clearly rescued or saved Simon and River from the feds, or something.
Oh,
and just
in some real meaningful way, not just like to cover his own self.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because he was, I could see that coming out on him as, the last episode, and just keeps like, I see this stuff and it's just like, gosh, what could have been of this show? It's just,
welcome.
So sad.
Welcome.
Yeah. That episode though, where they're back on that planet and like everybody's like worshiping Jane, basically. Like they got the song about him. I thought that was so funny. It was so funny. And he was like honest, he's like telling him, he's just like, I was doing that for myself. Like I had to drop that because I was overweight. Like otherwise I wouldn't have been able to get away.
I kicked everything else out. My partner, everything.
Yeah.
The seats. Yeah.
They got that statue of him and all that. That was.
Yeah. I think in that episode, that kid sacrificing himself to save Jane, like jumping in front of the gun.
Yeah.
That stuck with him. Like I think he calls back to that later on in like another episode and mentions that again. And I think that sticks with him. And I do think, like you said, going forward, we would have had some redemption with him. The character would have evolved. His arc would have been one of learning to become part of a family, learning to trust again, if you will. We would have probably learned his backstory more about like how he came to be somebody who doesn't trust anybody and how he's all out for himself and everything. I'm willing to bet he was probably double crossed by like his family in some way, like sold away or something like that. And, but yeah, like that stuck with him. And you can see him kind of weighing on him and him trying to balance that and reconcile that within his own life. And, yeah, I agree. I think you're right. We would have seen some changes. That's kind of like, just like, where would this have all gone? Like, if this show had been able to continue for 8 seasons or whatever,
even 4 more seasons, I think they could have, they could have rounded it out. Like I said earlier, in the beginning of the show, if somebody would have been able to pick this up, like, because obviously 2002, there was no streaming services. Like, we didn't even know what that was.
Not for like 8 years. 4 to 8, or 6 to 8 years or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. If somebody could have picked this up and carried it on and continued with it, I think that they would have gotten another 4, at least 4 seasons out of it. And they would have finished out season 1. Or no, they probably just would have ended that. Season 1, that's just how it is. They would have aired all the episodes, and then they would have started, season 2, and they would have at least done 3 more seasons, I think. And we could have had something great. I mean, we still have something great. I really do think, like you were saying earlier, I think this is, this is one of the best sci-fi shows I've watched. It only has 14 episodes.
Yeah.
And
it's fantastic. It's so
great.
Much fun.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, like, Disney Plus is supposed to be rebooting it in some way. I don't know if it's if they're continuing the story like later on down the line, like the comics do, or if they are rebooting it entirely with like a whole new cast, or just setting something up in the same universe. But there has been talk about that for a couple of years now, and it's in development. So we'll see what comes from that.
I mean, I think that you would almost have to either do a completely new cast or do a different story in the universe. Because, like, I mean, Ron Glass, he's passed away. Like, you're not going to have him to come back.
The character died off in the movie too, so.
Oh, yeah. I guess there's that too. But I don't know, like some of these other, I don't know, Nathan Fillion, they're not younger. He would do it, but they're not getting, like, these actors aren't, they're older now than they were. This is,
you could do
23
like
years removed from this.
It could be like a new crew taking over the Firefly from him or something like that. Or like he's got, like, it could be him and I think Zoe running these 2 older folks running this young crew, like teaching them the ranks and everything like that, sending them out on missions and slowly shift the focus over to them type of thing. You could do it like a million different ways for sure. Absolutely. I don't think a complete reboot. I think you got to continue with what you have in some way, like to honor that legacy. Like, I feel like if you completely reboot, if you completely recast it and start over, you do a disservice to that original cast in a way, and I don't think you can do that. I think we've learned that over these years that you can't just simply recast the whole thing and redo it shot for shot, or do an alternate version of it. Like, it's a disservice. You gotta take what's there and you gotta build on it. And if you can't, then it doesn't need to be done. That's just how it is. At least that's my personal opinion on these types of things. So there's some fan theories out there as far as like what's going on with the show. Got a couple I want to throw at you. One is that at the end of this season, Zoe was pregnant and she just learned about it, which is a interesting one. And that was confirmed in the canonical comic books that continue the story, because she is pregnant with Wash's baby and they have a child. And I think the first series of comic books covers that 8 months after the movie takes place, and her going through all that without him and having the baby and everything, which is interesting. I like that. They kind of continue the character a little bit. And hopefully they give that character gets older and has his same wit and charm, and that would be fun to witness as you go on. But yeah, so there's that. That's one fan theory that was actually proven true by the comics. Another one, and I kind of like this one, and I think you will too, is that River is a slayer, and Firefly is set in the future of the Buffy universe. How's that hit you?
Okay.
And the Reavers are just like another version of like vampires or something like that.
Okay. So no. who's Giles? Like,
I think that's where, like you said, Mal is like kind of becoming a father figure to her. I think he becomes her guidance, if you will, or all of them really, because like you got Sheppard there, kind of spiritually guiding everybody, and you got like Mal there, kind of like guiding you in a general moral kind of way, and everybody else kind of chipping in a little bit here and there. But I think Mal, would be your major guidance there.
Sure,
but
not
I
Jane.
Thought it was a fun one. Not Jane. No, definitely not Jane. Last one, and this one's a bit out there, but it might explain some things. Apparently, the reason why Firefly was canceled is because of the U.S. government. The U.S. government ordered the cancellation of Firefly ahead of the Iraq war to avoid a public image problem. This is a genuine fan theory that's floated out there.
What?
Yeah, I don't know enough about like geopolitics. Yeah, but because the Iraq war started like the next year or like soon after, like months later or something like that, and so like, they were concerned about this show based around these rebels against the government and all this other stuff, that it's just gonna sow insurrection. And so apparently that's one of the leading fan theories. It's funny, but I have there's no merit to it.
Let me go get my tinfoil hat real quick, and then we can discuss.
Told you it was ridiculous. Yeah.
Wow, man.
I came across those and I thought those were kind of fun, so I'm gonna bring them up. Yeah. Okay. Another little fun nugget, if you will, behind the scenes thing or whatever. The ship Serenity can be seen in the background of the first episode of Battlestar Galactica twice. It's in with all the fleet, and then it's also up in the sky landing whenever what's her name that becomes president gets her cancer diagnosis.
Oh yeah, it's been so long. I loved BSG, but it's been over a decade since I watched it. I'll have to rewatch that. I've been wanting to rewatch BSG now. I haven't.
It's on the list.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah. Oh, wait, is it on the list? Okay,
it will be.
Well, there we go. Yeah, it's great. That's great.
But yeah, that was a fun one. I went back and looked at it. And yeah, sure enough, it's there. Like you can look them up, and there's like screen grabs of it and everything, and it's pretty fun. Like apparently, like the VFX are one of the VFX artists that worked on both shows, so he was able to he snuck in like this little Easter egg. Fun.
I really hope the crew is like in that fleet, and we just don't. That's what the reboot's going to be. It's going to be the crew fighting Cylons.
All right, I'll buy it.
Jane's a Cylon. That's what it is. That's what we're going to find out. That's his arc. Yeah. Starts hearing music. What was it? All along the Watchtower. He starts hearing all along the Watchtower while he's in Serenity, wondering what's going on. Yeah.
So do you have a favorite character from the show after watching it?
I liked something about every one of them. Like,
yeah.
I mean, Mal's probably my favorite if I'm going to have to pick one. If you're going to nail me down, but they each brought something to the table that made the whole thing one cohesive unit where, Mal's a leader, but you've got, I don't know.
Wash has got some of the best lines.
Wash got some of the best
Jane's
lines.
Got some good little action scenes.
Yeah.
Zoe,
Sheppard, he's
Sheppard.
like the moral compass of the group, and it's Honora, she's very much, she's very much the diplomat of the group, she's Kaylee's the innocence of the group. I really think so. You can't say that about River just because of everything River's been through, so there's something going on with River, but and then Simon's, he's the doctor, he's just, his personality, it seems like it's business most of the time. Like even when Kaylee's trying to like come on to him, he's like, he keeps putting does not get it. Does not get it. And I'm like, what? Come on. Like,
I love it every time. Like she starts like, she's warming back up to him. She's getting all over him. And then he just says something and she's like, okay, well, moving on.
Well, when
like, what? I don't get it.
When she's asking him like, say something else nice about me or whatever. And he's like talking about how like, you're the best, you're the prettiest girl, because you're the only one on the ship that I can. Yeah. And that he's trying to be sincere and like, give
an honest answer.
Yeah, but at the same time,
he's too logical
coming across. Yeah. So I don't know. Who was your favorite?
I'm kind of torn between Mal and Wash. And it's only because Mal, I think, has like the better character arc, but Wash has some of the best lines throughout the whole movie or throughout the whole show. And I just, I would have to pick Wash. If I was having to pick one, it would have to be Wash.
Good pick.
It's fun.
Yeah.
He's just a lot of fun. Yeah. And he gets that way. So
I want to hang out with him. Like I want to hang out with Wash. I mean, I want to hang out with all these people, but I wouldn't mind being a crew member on here, be a little danger, little excitement,
a little
fun. I want to know. I don't know if Serenity shows this or not. It's probably just something that's just lost to our imagination. But I want to know the end of the last episode. If River picked up all those jacks. Because you see her, like, she's studying the ball and she goes to bounce it and pick stuff up. And then the camera just pans down below deck and everything. Yeah.
I don't know. So what? Maybe they start the movie like that, like with that. And then we just find out real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I have to keep that in mind whenever we watch the movie.
Yeah. I have to,
All right.
So what was your favorite, not favorite episode, but like your favorite scene? Did you have a favorite scene?
Man, I gotta roll.
There's a lot of them.
Real quick
Through
everything. I'm trying to think of like what stands out as like a favorite scene. I feel like I'm getting pigeonholed here.
Yeah.
Well, what's you got one on mine? What's yours?
So mine. It was in episode 4, and it's when Sheppard, Simon, Jane, and Wash. I don't think Mal was there. They were playing like a card game. I don't know what it was, but they were playing cards, and what their currency was they were betting with was chores around the ship.
Oh yeah.
And I loved that. I'm like, these are just a bunch of guys hanging out together, and it was the fact that it was chores, like not money or anything. What do we have to really barter with? Yeah, you can mop the catwalk or whatever, whatever it was. Like, it's just, I liked that scene a lot. It really
a week's worth of dishes.
Yeah.
That was a good one. So I'm looking. I ran through my notes real quick while you're talking. I did mark one as one of my favorites, and it's the scene where Kaylee's got the dress, and Mal is in the duel with that other guy, and it's the end of the duel. And he's taking down the guy, and he's got him, at the end of the tip of his sword and everything. And the guy's like, "You got to finish him. You got to finish him. It's bad form, or it's dishonorable to leave him alive." And it's like, to leave him alive is dishonorable. And Mal's like, "No, that ain't right. I'm not going to kill him." And he's like, "I'm a better man." And then he like stabs him real quick. And he's like, "Well, I'm a good man." And then like he stabs him again, and he's like, "Well, I'm a man," and then he walks away. And I was just like, that's just like the perfect little like encapsulation of that character, and I just love that scene. That's just a great little scene. Yeah. And then you were talking about Kaylee loving that dress so much. The end of that episode, it ends and it's her in the engine room with that dress hanging. Yeah. And she's just looking at it and like eating that little thing and just as happy as can be. And you know that dress it was probably still hanging in her room and just bringing her joy every day.
Yep.
It's just the little things.
Yes.
Little things.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
So was there any line in particular that stuck out as like one of your favorites, or just something that like, you know, rings in your head or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I really like that line when I can't remember exactly how it goes, so I'm not going to give this justice, but it's Kaylee's like asking Wash if she's pretty, and he says something like, you know,
if I were not wed, I would take you in a manly fashion.
In a manly fashion, that's it. Yeah,
that's a good one.
And she's like, "What's so I'm pretty?" He's like, "Yeah, you're pretty." Yeah,
yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Hey, Wash has a lot of good. I think he's probably got some of my favorite ones for sure. Like, he like. I forget what they were doing, but he says, you know, this sounds like something out of a science fiction or something, and his wife, so he turns to him, she goes, "Dear, you live on a spaceship."
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Just that little like levity, I love it throughout the whole thing. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Even when they're in like the thick of it, he's always given these just. It's almost like Spider-Man, you know, like when you know when he's nervous, that's why he's so chatty, because he's nervous and he just
just trying to make sure we don't die. Okay, yeah. How you doing on that? Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I think. Well, do you have any more final thoughts on the show before we wrap it up?
I don't. I'm looking forward to watching Serenity for next week. Yeah.
Well,
I love this show.
Before we wrap out of here, before we wrap up, I'm going to give you a quick rundown on the Shepherd's past, so you have a little more knowledge going forward. So, Shepard Book, or I'm going to butcher this name because I've only read it. Derrial, Derrial. I'm going to say Derrial Book. Was not his original name. He was actually born Henry Evans and grew up with a horribly abusive father who used to beat him for no reason, get drunk and just beat him. And so he ran away from home at a young age and quickly started finding himself in positions where he needed to do some things that maybe weren't legal to get by and make it through, and finally found his way to the Resistance, the Browncoats, the Alliance. No, not the Alliance. The other side of it. I'm stumbling on the name now, but yes, we'll call them the Browncoats because I can't think of like the actual name of them. It wasn't the Rebels, I think, maybe. I don't know. Anyways, so he fell in with them, and he's kind of like, this all sounds interesting and everything, and I get it, but I'm kind of looking out for me or whatever. And eventually they hatch this plan where they're like, okay, the Confederated planets are starting to push their agenda on us, and we don't like it or whatever. So we're going to stand up to them, and we're going to propose, we're going to the Resistance. That's what they were. We're going to resist them, in this way or whatever. And, so before this war can break out, they're like, we know war is on the horizon. It's going to happen. We need to get somebody in there now before war breaks out. Somebody that starts going through the ranks and working their way up. And they're like, but who's going to volunteer for that? Who wants to give up their life and everybody they know and everything that they know to go in and be part of this, from the, be this double agent or whatever? And he's like, I'll do it. Yeah. I got nothing to lose. I'll go do it. And so he ends up going like, okay, but to enlist, you can't enlist as yourself. You have like this checkered past, they're never going to take you seriously and you're never going to get that far. So you're going to have to like take somebody's identity. And he's like, whenever you say take somebody's identity, do you mean like, like what happens to them? And they're like, well, that's up to you, but they can never, be there to argue about it. So he ends up killing this person, Mr. Book, Deric or whatever, Deric Book, and taking his identity, and enlisting in the Union Army, and starts working his way up really quick. And all the officers and everything are like, oh, he's so driven. Like he's got like a purpose to him. And like, he's really successful and, he gets it and, all this other stuff. And they're like, you've never seen anybody so driven before. And they're like, well, what drives him? And, is it money or is it power? And they're like, no, he really wants to see this war end. He's got a thing for like, bad guys or whatever, he really just wants to see the war end. He doesn't like, thieves or something like that. I forget what they say. And, so they're like, okay. And then they keep bringing up through the ranks. And eventually he gets to a point where, there's like a big battle, and it's the big battle that's going to end the whole war. And it fails. Like all these, like, it's like thousands of people on ships just die and like get wiped out by the resistance because he made like one error in his plan or whatever. And it just takes down, like, it's like this huge blow to the Union Army. And that was supposed to be the linchpin that they were going to use, that the Browncoats or resistance or whatever was going to use to take down and stand their ground. But something else happened. I don't know what, because I didn't read the other side of the story. But anyway, so he gets dishonorably discharged. He starts drinking, and because, like, his plan doesn't work and the Union Army ends up winning anyways. And so, like, he starts drinking a lot and, like, always ends up in these bars. And finally, like, he gets like beat up for like gambling debts or something like that. And he's sitting in this like homeless soup kitchen or something, and he's just staring into this bowl of soup and like contemplating his life's decisions and contemplating like the meaning of life and like the universe. And he's like, this bowl of chicken noodle soup, it touches this, it rests on this table that rests on the ground, that rests on the earth, that rests in the universe. And like, it starts like going out, and it's like, and he's like, I'm like the ripples in the pond, and I affect everything around me. And he's like talking about all, like, he's thinking about like all this different stuff and having like this philosophical moment. And then he just goes to the Abbey and starts like seeking this like religious life, like seeking out like these answers. And he starts going through like this process of like redemption within like the Abbey. And like eventually he gets to a certain point and he's like, I feel like I've done as much as I can here. I see and I hear about all these people that are suffering on the Outer Rims. They have no word of God. Nobody has told them about, God or any of this other stuff. I want to be the one that brings them the word. And so, with the blessings of the higher ups within the Abbey, he sets out to spread the word of God and to bring peace to those that are troubled and maybe a little restless. And so like that ends up becoming like his life's mission, is just to kind of like spread this word of peace. And like, it's an interesting arc, I feel like, that the character takes. And I would love to have seen that explored further, but all we got is like what's in the books and everything. So I thought I'd give you that a little bit before we delve into the movie and give you a little more of Sheppard's backstory there.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That would have been something they would have had to like explore over multiple episodes.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that would have been, gosh, again, same old story. What could have been? What could have been?
Yeah.
It could have been with this great show. Yeah.
But I mean, it could have. We could have also ended up with like the last season of Lost, or so many of these other shows where like at the very end they just kind of like, I don't know, we'll just whatever works. Yeah.
Let's just wrap it up because we've painted ourselves into a corner here, and
paint themselves into a corner. They're chasing ratings or whatever. But I mean, I don't know. I guess Buffy really didn't kind of do that, from my understanding. I never watched Buffy, but from my understanding, Whedon was never one to like chase after ratings or anything like that. He was always more so like the idea, like building the universe that he wanted to build, that he saw in his head or whatever. So I could see this, like you said, going for 4 or 6 seasons and being really successful with that, and knowing when to stop, when to walk away, when to say enough is enough.
Yeah. That's the key. That's the key with anything. I mean, especially television series, or something that's a serialized thing, is just knowing when to be done. Like this is, I mean, Fox said we know when it's going to be done, but
it's going to be done at 12.
yeah. But anyway, Oh man, Firefly. Yeah, it's great.
It's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
So good.
Looking forward to more.
Yeah. I've been looking forward to talking with you about this for weeks.
I remember you were on like episode 6 and you wrote me and you're like, I cannot wait till we have this episode.
Yeah.
What was it about that made you gave you that thought in that moment?
I'm trying to remember exactly what episode 6 was. But what did we
That's the one with Christina Hendricks.
Okay, that was it. Yeah. I don't know. It was I think it was that plot twist in the middle of that episode where or towards the end of the episode, where she's not a bounty hunter, but she's a real scoundrel, and just not who you think she was. And before that, it's like the series, in my opinion, when I was watching it before that, had clear cut good guys and bad guys. I mean, even the first episode where they've got that, they're trying to figure out who the mole is. Like clearly I could tell it's not Simon. Like, they're looking, and the reason I could tell is because
his name was bad, in the credits.
He's in the credits. He's too pretty. He has a face. He has a star quality face to him. The guy that was the mole he had a mole, but he had
a mole.
He did not have a star quality face to him. He wasn't somebody that was going to continue, that I could see continuing to be on the show episode after.
He's a character actor.
Yeah. But I could see, like, watching this, I'd seen Christina Hendricks and things. I'd watched Mad Men. I'd watched what's that other series that she's on with the other women, and they're like Robin Banks or something like that. Good Girls.
Bad Girls,
Bad Girls. I'd seen different things that she'd been in movies and stuff. But it had all been after the fact of this. So like I see her when this episode's going, and I'm thinking like, okay, they're adding a regular cast member to here because she's gonna end up being his wife, and they're at least she's gonna at least be on for a couple episodes, and they're gonna try to figure out, what's going on with this. And then it's that click where she knocks him out, like she kisses him.
Yeah.
Side note, that whole thing with Sheppard, and he's like, there's a special
kind of hell.
In hell for people like that. You don't take advantage of that girl if you don't intend on staying married to her. But it's when she starts trying to take over the ship, and I don't know. It was just that plot really, like, it clicked for me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so much more than just some run-of-the-mill sci-fi series. Like, they've got it's got some depth to it, and no, it's so hard to put my finger on it. But yeah, that was the episode, and I'm just like, man. And then every episode after that, I was like, gosh, it just keeps getting better and better and better. And then it's done.
And you're left with this hole.
Gosh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's what a deal. It's just so sad that it's not here anymore. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
It's already more than 20 years old too.
I know.
So there's absolutely no chance of resurrection.
No. Sometime maybe I can figure out some way to transport myself to another universe where this was picked
carried
up
on
and
for
kept
carried on
seasons. For another few seasons. But yeah. I don't know. It's good. I'm glad that you introduced me to it. It's great. I'm sad.
Excellent.
Well, no, I'm not sad that I didn't watch it when it first came out, because I feel like if I would have, then I'd have another 23 plus years on this sadness train. And at least now, if I die in my 80s, there's at least 20 some years where I didn't have the sadness of not having, Is
it better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all?
Exactly. Yeah. It's great.
Well, before we go playing with our rain sticks. Before we go playing with our rain sticks, was there any comments that came across the wire? Anything to address there?
I checked right before we get on here. I did not see any new ones. Right. So, if you got a comment, leave it in the leave it in the comments section. Even while we're streaming live, we've had questions come across from streaming live, or comments, I guess, and we've commented off of those, and happy to do it.
Email, whatever works for you. Carrier pigeon. Sure.
Sure. Yeah. Before I take us out of here, I'm going to give you our question for next week. So I'm trying to figure out how to word this. I've got it in my mind, but when you were a kid and you thought of man, that is cool. What was your idea of cool? Was it a character? Was it an actor? Was it
what was the epitome of cool?
Icon? What was the epitome of cool? There you go. What was the epitome of cool when you were a kid?
What are we defining as kid?
Pre-high school.
All right.
Pre-high school.
All right. I'll think about that. Okay. Yeah. Just, remember, Captain, kissing girls makes you sleepy.
Yeah. Anyway, like and subscribe. We'd love to have more of it. Leave us a review if you can on Apple Podcast or wherever you can leave a review at. More reviews we get, the more stars or whatever we get, it moves us up a little bit in the rankings, and helps us to find, other potential listeners that might enjoy the show. So,
hey, it might also help you, lose weight or find the love of your life, or, an extra $100 in your bank account. Who knows? It could help. We don't know, but let's try it out. Go ahead and hit those buttons.
We can see it.
Let us know if it works or not.
Yeah. If it doesn't work, leave us a comment, and we'd love to see it. So, anyway, with that, we will see you all next week. Remember, I just went with the sharing is caring, but keep sharing, keep commenting, and be kind of rewind. And we will see you next time. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
This Podcast Takes Tokens is a Clay Street production.